Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the library. Today, we'll be talking about the Forerunners. Let us begin. The Forerunners, in Latin meaning fistborn, were an ancient species of technologically advanced beings whose empire, known as the Ecumene, encompassed 3 million fertile worlds in the Milky Way galaxy. The Forerunners reigned for millennia as the ascendant civilization in the galaxy until the activation of the Halo Array, their solution to halt the Flood, in 97,445 BCE. Although they themselves are essentially extinct, evidence of their existence remained, spread across the galaxy in the form of numerous creations, installations, and artifacts. The Forerunners were created by the Precursors, a powerful race responsible for seeding the Milky Way galaxy with life and creating many other species 15 million years ago. Their homeworld served as the hub of the Forerunners' interstellar civilization, comprised of 12 systems within the nebular complex, until it was rendered uninhabitable by an astroengineering disaster. The Forerunners had attempted to manipulate several stars in their region of space, but accidentally caused a series of supernovae that resulted in their planet being turned into a cinder by radiation. This event very nearly caused the extinction of the Forerunners. As their interstellar civilization developed, the Forerunners came to believe that they would be judged worthy to be the inheritors of the Precursors' mantle by guardianship of all life. However, over 10 million years ago, the Precursors made a decision to pass down the mantle to the humans instead, provoked either by this revelation alone, or the Precursors' decision to eradicate the Forerunners as a problematic species. The Forerunners responded by overthrowing their creators, exterminating most of them in retaliation. Long story short, the entire race of Foreigner became rebellion, at least to the Precursors. The Foreigners took upon themselves the role of the caretakers of the galaxy, and believed that this mantle had been passed down to them by the Precursors, an even more powerful race that preceded the Foreigner civilization. Forerunner is a literal translation of the species' name for themselves. They identified themselves as such because they believed that they held an impermanent place in the universe's living time, though in time they too would be succeeded by other superior races. Before their disappearance from the galaxy, the Foreigners would name humanity their successors, identifying them with the title Reclaimer. This title was given to them because they viewed humanity as worthy to reclaim the mantle from them, as originally intended by the Precursors. After the war, a small number of Foreigners discovered the true case of the invasion, a desperate human migration away from an extragalactic parasite known as the Flood. Desperate for new, uninfected worlds to replace the ones lost to the Flood, humanity invaded the worlds of other civilizations, bringing them into direct conflict with the Foreigners, who saw themselves as the protectors of the mantle. Roughly 9,000 years after their war with the humans, a Foreigner survey team on the planet Seaward came into contact with the Flood. After this first contact, the Foreigners immediately recognized the great danger that the Flood posed to the entire galaxy and attempted to contain them. Even though they knew the power of the Flood, the principles of the mantle forbade them from destroying it. As such, the attempt to contain the Flood was a failure, as they tried methods more suited to disease control instead of all-out warfare, trying to contain and quarantine the Flood rather than attack and destroy it outright. They did not start war until it was far too late. Now, before I continue reading on this script, I recommend that you watch Halo Legends. Yes, you the viewer. If you have not watched Halo Legends, I do recommend you watch it because this is what the lore ties into at this point. In any case, let's continue. When the Foreigners were unable to contain the Flood outbreak, the galaxy entered a state of war. The Forerunners desperately studied the flood, looking for any exploitable weakness, as the Forerunners soon realized that the conventional naval attacks were ineffective against the parasite's onslaught. They developed new weapons and tactics to combat the flood specifically. The Sentinels were made and deployed as a means of maintaining the flood through surgical, localized tactics. Eventually, the Forerunner fleet began to enact premature stellar collapse within compromised planetary systems, causing supernovae to engulf entire worlds. However, these tactics proved only to slow, but never stop the expansion of the flood. Even at this late hour, the Forerunners were reluctant to use the Halo Array, believing that they should continue to embrace the mantle to protect life, rather than to destroy it. This led to great stretches of anguish, debate, and even civil war. After nearly 3 centuries of war, what had been a relative stalemate quickly began to turn into the flood's favor. The Gravemind managed to convince Mendicant Bias, the AI in charge of Forerunner defense, to unite the flood and turn its military assets against its creators. With the flood growing at an exponential rate, the flood-infested regions, known as burns, soon covered 2/3 of Forerunner space. After the capital system was overwhelmed, the surviving leaders and population of the Incumen were relocated on the extragalactic installation known as the Greater Ark. The original Ark used to manufacture the first Halo rings. Aware that the Ark would not stay safe from the flood for long, the Forerunner leadership realized that the only way to stop the parasite was to deprive it of all hosts by firing the Halo Array. Soon after this decision, the flood attacked the Greater Ark and destroyed it. With most of the Forerunner leadership and population dead, the few surviving Forerunners, led by the Isodidact, journeyed to Installation 00, the Lesser Ark, and its location is still hidden from the flood at this point. The Isodidact had the halos distributed across the galaxy and activated the rings, killing all sentient life of sufficient biomass in the Milky Way, including any surviving Forerunners within the range of the Halo effect. However, the Forerunner life workers had managed to save some of the galaxy's species by transporting them to the Ark. After their disappearance, the Forerunners left behind a great deal of artifacts, many of the more significant ones overseen by their dedicated monitors, which would react to outside visitors in accordance with their programmed instructions. The mystery surrounding the Forerunners and their technology would later come to a source of worship, legend, advanced technology, or combination thereof, the various future civilizations which eventually stumbled upon some of the many Forerunner artifacts across the galaxy. And with that, the information from this record has been fully explained. With this said, we hope you enjoyed looking into the records of the Forerunners. If you want more content like this, like the video so we can see if you enjoy this kind of content. Wow, I said that weird. If you want to support us, we'll be setting up a Patreon soon, or you can join our Discord, but that's up to you to support us that way. You can always just like the video or subscribe to see when our videos come up. Anyway, this has been Artov, Bearers of the Mantle, signing out.